Welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com. What is up, lovely people? It is Tuesday. The first Tomlin Tuesday after the bye week was hands down the greatest Tomlin Tuesday, but it is Tuesday, October 26th. Tomlin Tuesday, it was a great one. This is All Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Noah Strackbein, joined every Tuesday and Thursday with my married man, Donnie Droon, reporting live from his closet in northern Phoenix, Arizona. What's going on?
Yeah, I actually upgraded from the closet to the bedroom. So, I'm feeling really good right now. Perks of being married. I get a little bit more leeway in saying things. So, really excited to be on this adventure with you on the phenomenal Tomlin Tuesday. And like you said, probably one of the better ones we've had in quite some time.
Oh, easy. Definitely the best one of the season. Tomlin has been utterly boring. It has been terrible, but he came through, and he came through at the end. Like everybody, I talked to a couple people in the media room after Tomlin went off, and if no one knows what we're talking about the USC job and the rumors connecting him to USC, which Carson Palmer is, I guess, the biggest name talking about that. I don't know if
talking out of his ass, dude. I could not believe it.
Carson Palmer, I don't know if you did you listen to it? It sounds like he was talking like he knew what was up. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, Mike Tomlin's definitely a name that they're in conversation with." I'm like,
the crazy thing was like he said we, didn't he? Like he was in that room, like calling the shots and stuff.
That's what I mean. It sounded like he was a part of whatever committee they had that were putting this together. And they're like, he's like, yep, Mike Tomlin might be a name there. Tomlin was asked about it on Tuesday. It was the last question. Everybody was waiting for Tomlin. It was like, because, Bert, at the end of it, the Steelers PR guy yells out like, oh, last one, 2 more questions. And that's why everybody was like, all right, we're going to wait for that one because we know when we ask, it's over. Tim Benz, shout out Tim Benz of the Trib Review, Trib Live. I think I got both of those right. The newspaper, the Trib.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Tossing out the question, asking him what his thoughts are on the rumors. Mike Tomlin came back, best answer of all time.
Mike, at any point in your coaching career, did you ever have an interest or express an interest in being a head coach in the college game? And do you have any idea how that may or may not have led to folks like Ryan and Doug Whaley and Carson Palmer connecting you to some college jobs?
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? Anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
A legend. Like when Mike Tomlin has a moment, like a meme, Twitter-worthy, news-breaking moment, they are always legendary. This one might top the cake.
Dude, it's been a minute since I've seen him like that. Like, wow.
Yeah, wow. Because you had a thought, like you knew going into it, okay, Mike Tomlin's not going to USC. Nobody expected him to actually go to USC. And then when he was asked about it, it wasn't like, oh yeah, this isn't
focused on the season,
Yeah. Like the Washington job. When the Washington football team was looking for a head coach and somebody asked Mike Tomlin about it, he was just like, no. This one's like, if you ever ask me again, I swear to God.
Yeah, I'll find your family.
I'll fight your whole family. Like that, that hurt him to his soul. Like, I don't know what. Maybe he's just had enough. Maybe it's just like, okay, my football team is really not playing great. We're trying real hard to turn this around. Now people are talking about, on top of a million other nonsense things, like, is Ben retiring? Are we going to bench Ben? Who cares about an extra right tackle, honestly? The defense is getting bad. Minka doesn't have an interception. People are still talking about that. I don't understand that one. And now you're going to be like, oh, you going to USC? I think it was over. That was the tipping point. We broke it.
Yeah, and you could really tell he was upset because he really could have left it after after he had just like answered it. But then he was like, anybody ask Sean Payton about this? Anybody ask Andy Reid about this? And it's like, bro, get off your chest, man. Go ahead. Jeez.
Dude, he let it off. And it was good. It was needed. It wasn't like, if it was like a normal answer, I think people would have been like, I don't know about that one. And this just kind of went like, okay, well, this is going to be news for the next 24 hours. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best thing you can watch on Twitter. And then it's going to fade to nothing. And we're never going to talk about it again, which is exactly what he wanted to do.
I mean, that's kind of like what you want to hear out of a coach, right? Not just the standard like softball. Hey, like, we're focused on the season. Didn't really have time for that. But especially like where the Steelers are at right now and kind of everything that's going on behind the scenes and what's exactly on the line, especially this week and, moving forward for the rest of the year. For him to kind of put that like explanation point on everything he had said, and like you really walk away from listening to that like short 1 minute clip feeling like, if it doesn't get turned around, it's not going to exactly all fall on his shoulders, because it looks like he's pushing all of his chips in the middle of the table, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, this is my football team. This is my football season. We are still in this. Definitely still in this. I'm not giving up on it. Mike Tomlin didn't give up on Duck Hodges and a terrible Mason Rudolph. He's not giving up on this team. Let's focus on this. Screw USC. Screw everybody who asks about USC. Carson Palmer, I'm glad we finished off one of his knees. That's basically what came out of his mouth. Shout out Mike Tomlin. Living legend. Living legend. I don't know how you don't love this guy. Added in the Tomlin Tuesday. Tomlin just dropped a little sprinkle of it. He just, boom, kept it going.
Casual.
Tried so hard to just let it be. Zach Banner will begin working his way back into the offensive rotation. He did not say he's going to compete for a starting job with Chooks. That could happen. That might not happen. It wasn't he is competing, he's not competing. It was just he's going to work his way back into the offensive line. We're very excited to have depth at the tackle position. That's not a problem. Is it a good thing to just put Zach Banner back out there and say, okay, you're just the extra guy. We'll see what's good. You can't work a tackle rotation where you're bumping around three guys constantly. That's not how that works. Or should Zach Banner just start?
I think the smart thing to do is probably to work him in, especially coming off that injury. Like the last thing you want to do is throw Banner kind of into the fire immediately, because sure, he could practice, but like they're not going 100% in practice, and like he's going to be facing very tough NFL caliber, obviously, defensive fronts week in and week out moving forward. And as the season gets on, it doesn't get easier. It only gets tougher against those guys who have more experience, more practice, more film on what the Steelers are going to be doing. So it definitely doesn't get easier by any stretch of the imagination. I think you bring him in and you probably, I think you really see like where you're feeling with him. I don't think it'd be a bad thing if he sat this weekend, just to kind of give Chooks and maybe even Dan Moore or Joe Haig, whoever decides to be healthy and starts this week, give them kind of one last, hey man, like Zach Banner is right here. You need to go out and play football. You need to go play at a high level right now if you don't want to ride the pine the rest of the way. And if Okorafor is up for the challenge, sure. If he proves that he isn't this week versus Cleveland, obviously you have a perfect opportunity for Zach Banner to be right there and slide into that right tackle spot. Obviously, I think Banner's the more talented guy. I would start Zach Banner over Okorafor in a regular game. But just, given everything, I don't know what Zach Banner looks like. I don't know health-wise where he's at. So I think the smart thing might be to kind of ease him in. But that's just bringing him in through like jumbo packages, or, just getting him some special teams work. I'm not really sure. But I do expect him to be involved in some capacity this week. I'm just not sure if that's going to be starting capacity or not.
Yeah, I don't think that he starts this week. I do expect him to get a helmet. I do expect him to kind of just play some role, like you said. I think there's a lot of good issues right now for the Steelers, and Tomlin said that a couple times. This is a good problem to have.
Yeah,
Banner might not be starter ready. Honestly, Banner is an unproven guy in the NFL, so maybe we don't know. Maybe he took a step back from last season, and Chooks is still the better option right now. We don't know a lot of that. We'll see a lot of that, obviously, in the upcoming days and weeks, especially at practice. Banner could be a guy that could come in here, like you said, push Chooks, say, hey, man, this is your last straw. But honestly, Chooks has been playing well the last 2 weeks. And because of that, you gotta roll with what's working, of course. On the flip side of that, I think that you put somebody like Banner in, and maybe Banner is a better option, a much better option. And he sets that like spark, you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, everybody clicked. Now Banner's here and now he's good. And we have an offensive line. Like this is the group, maybe that just pushes them a little farther. Maybe it sets them back because you're adding a new guy in there. And with an offensive line this bad, cohesion is probably the best thing that you could possibly have for them. I don't know. I think it's a very sticky situation. I don't think it's as simple as, I feel like a lot of people are just like, you got to start him. Chooks is terrible. What are you doing? That's not that simple to do, especially with the guys around him that are still developing. It's very hard to say, Banner, you go start at right tackle now. Everything that we just put together over the last 6 weeks that's finally starting to work is now gone. That's not what Tomlin's looking to do, and that's not what any NFL coach would do.
Well, here's the two arguments on like one side of the coin. You want to put your 5 best guys out there, right? And I think everybody kind of agrees, at least on the wide scope of games we've gotten to watch between Banner and then between Okorafor. Banner's the better right tackle out of the two. I think that's kind of the consensus. But like on the other side, like you said, cohesion's big. Cohesion's really big. And, it really looks like those guys up front, big or small, starting to put some things together up front. Najee's looking a little bit better. He's finding a little bit more daylight between the tackles.
Yep.
So you throw Banner in there, and all of a sudden, not that all that stuff's out the window, but it's like you lost that much more of that cohesion you were trying to get and form together. And I think a couple of weeks ago, whenever Tomlin was like, "No, we're not making any changes to the offensive line," he was kind of banking on that chemistry to start kicking in a little bit. We're starting to see it now. Zach Banner coming back, obviously, that's a good problem to have because everybody believes he's a NFL starting caliber right tackle. What do you do? And it's so hard, man. It really is. But I think at the end of the day, you got to put your best 5 out there, and the chemistry and the cohesion will come. You need good blocking. You need it right now. Like you need to start winning football games. It starts Cleveland this weekend. You need your best guys out there, and I think Banner's the best guy.
So here's the question. If McFarland comes out here, the Steelers continue to win, because winning's a big part of this. The offense continues to grow. The Steelers continue to win. If the Steelers continue to win, does Banner start at any point this season?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think winning only hinges on the right side of the offensive line. Obviously, the game starts and finishes in the trenches. You're not going to be successful if you don't have good blocking up front. But that being said, man, yeah, I don't think, unless the Okorafor just plays extremely out of his mind. And like you said, he has been getting better the last couple of weeks. He's played significantly better than what we saw at the beginning of the year. But I feel like that's everybody on the offensive line, Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody's kind of kicked it up a notch. Granted, at best right now, I feel like the line's a very average offensive line right now. But that's something we've seen in the past where the Steelers can work with it. So, I mean, you want to play the short game and you want to play the long game at the same time. Either one works. I just think you throw the names away. Whoever you think can give you the best chance to win, whether it's Okorafor, whether it's Banner, you got to roll with them. Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I think Okorafor goes out there, and it's going to be a big game for him because Cleveland's defensive front is very big. Granted, they do have some a couple injuries across the front, but you're still looking at guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, two of the best defensive players in football. It's going to be a big test. It's going to be a very big test for him, and Zach Banner is kind of waiting right behind him too. That's another interesting argument too. Like if Banner goes to right tackle, does Okorafor to sit behind Banner? Does he slide over to left tackle? Like what do you do with him?
I don't know. I think that's a tough one because Dan Moore has played very hit or miss, but he's getting better. You could tell he's getting better. He's also a rookie, so you want him to be the piece moving forward. You don't want that to be Chooks. That being said, week 13 comes around. He's a rookie. That wall is there, especially for a left tackle who has to play every single down. That's a hard wall to hit. Maybe you use Chooks more. Maybe that's what Tomlin means by like just a rotation. It's just Banner's going to come in sometimes. Maybe we'll move Chooks to the left side. Maybe Joe Haig will be able to bounce over. He won't have to focus so much on the right side. He could be predominantly left. I don't know. It could be a 4-guy group at the tackle position for the Steelers moving forward. I think it is interesting to watch it. I think it's very interesting to watch and something that could make or break this team like we keep talking about. That being said, I don't think anything changes this weekend except for Banner finally gets a helmet, which is very good news for the Steelers, very good news for Zach Banner, and hopefully good news for that offensive line. Anthony McFarland is set to be activated this week, which is huge for the Steelers. I'm going to tell you this. There's been a lot of like, oh, this guy is going to be phenomenal this year hype for the Steelers. There is every year. The one I believe more than any is Anthony McFarland. Anthony McFarland looked good. He looks like the quickest back. I mean, obviously, Najee is the complete back in Pittsburgh, but not Anthony McFarland looks a lot bigger, a lot quicker on his feet. Matt Canada had him used in the slot, in the backfield, at halfback sometimes. There's a lot that this kid could do. I think it's a great thing for the Steelers offense. Mike Tomlin was asked about the running back depth today and kind of just gave like we need a little bit more answer. That could be McFarland. Here's my question. Doesn't mean Benny Snell gets cut, because I think it does.
So they bring him on the active roster, right? Which means they have to make room for somebody, right?
Yep.
I don't think they'd be willing to let Benny Snell go in the middle of the year.
Yeah, but they were using. What about Kalen Ballage? Kalen Ballage was touching the ball a lot in week 6.
Yo, that's true, but like I feel like if you're trying to kind of level out the amount of talent in the running back room in terms of like what guys bring to the table, I feel like Anthony McFarland and Kalen Ballage are more similar than like a guy like Benny Snell and Kalen Ballage or Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland. Like, dude, aside from Najee, you don't have anybody that can like pick up a couple like tough yards and like third down, right? Like if Benny Snell is going to do one thing for you, it's going to get 1 yard, bro. It's third and 1, you need a yard. Give it to Benny Snell. Is going to get you a yard. If it's fourth and 2,
why wouldn't you want that to be Najee?
If it's fourth and 2, Benny Snell's going to get you a yard, right? Like he's just going to get you the like short yardage every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that one. I think Benny Snell's days of falling forward ended real quickly, but it just looking at the track record, Kalen Ballage only rushed the ball 2 times in week 6. I get that, but Benny Snell didn't touch the field on offense. That's a big, okay, what's going on? If you get rid of Benny Snell, do you know how easy it is to replace him? You finally start using Derek Watt, which you're paying $3 million a year for, just to sit around and play special teams, which makes 0 sense. You want 3 yards, Derek Watt will probably get 3 yards. I'll put Cam Hayward in the background for our backfield for 3 yards. I agree,
but like the same argument though. How easy is it to replace Kalen Ballage? How easy is it to replace Anthony McFarland? We were talking about Anthony McFarland as a guy who is potentially going to be cut going into the year.
I was not. I was definitely not. I thought Anthony McFarland looked phenomenal all training camp. Well, he was hurt a lot, but I thought McFarland looked great all training camp. I thought Benny Snell looked awful. Like Benny Snell just looked real slow, like he didn't care. I mean, don't get me wrong, no one looked worse than Jalen Samuels by a mile, but Kalen Ballage looked good. And don't get me wrong, I agree with you. It is definitely a lot easier to replace Kalen Ballage than any of the other running backs in that backfield. But I think Benny Snell's
they're all replaceable.
I think they're all replaceable, but I think that Benny Snell's days of like having like any significant trade value is gone. Like I think that there are just too many running backs.
I'm not saying you're gonna get a draft pick for him or anything like that.
But that's what I mean. What is the point of keeping him on if you're not going to play him? Kalen Ballage is probably if anything, Kalen Ballage emulates a lot more running backs than Benny Snell does. So you could utilize that in practice. And like Anthony McFarland's going to be your number 2. I think no doubt Anthony McFarland's your number 2. So I don't know. I think Benny's just like, I had a hard time putting Benny on my 53-man roster at the beginning of the season. I think he barely squeezed by. And I think that if they have an opportunity, he could be the guy that's gone. And like, there's some names on the Steelers roster, like Cody White and stuff, that like could easily just be nicked and come back on the practice squad. I don't think Benny Snell is one of those guys.
Yeah, and since Snell doesn't have a certain amount of years in the league, like he would have to clear waivers, and I don't know. I feel like there might be just one team willing to take a lottery ticket on him, right?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but like at the same time, I don't think the Steelers are really concerned if somebody claims Benny Snell off of waivers. Well, how's Pittsburgh going to move the football without Benny Snell on the practice squad?
Exactly. Okay, Andrew.
I think in terms of just like variety, like I don't know. A fifth or sixth for Snell? Nah, I don't think so, man. Benny Snell has no value to him whatsoever. Like,
I think that Snell's value was there at the beginning of the season. I think it has drastically decreased because you just look at the running backs in the NFL. You could go out and find, the Baltimore Ravens have 7 veteran running backs that could easily make a 53-man roster right now. At least. The 49ers come up with a running back every single week and it works.
Yep.
Like, the Jets have 2 running backs that nobody even cares about. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if Benny Snell can't even go beat out Michael Carter or whoever else is over there, he's not really going to – he has no trade value. There's just – I just don't think – I don't know. I don't think – and I do agree with this comment. No one thought James Conner would work out anywhere else. That's true. I'm not saying that Benny Snell won't work anywhere. And I agree. Benny Snell and James Conner are on different levels. But I'm not saying that Benny Snell won't work anywhere. I just don't think that he has the value. That being said, he gets signed somewhere easily. But we'll see. I think that it's a situation that is going to be very interesting to watch in the next couple of days. And I can tell you just from rumbles that there are some people talking that maybe Benny Snell might be the guy that gets going at the end of this. And I don't know. I kind of feel like I agree.
Look, he might, like, obviously it's not out the realm of possibility. I just, in my personal opinion, I don't see them wanting to depart with him. It's kind of like the Mason Rudolph thing. For whatever reason, they just like him. But granted, at the end of the day, you can go find a running back and Giant Eagle, and put behind a good offensive line, they'll rush for 1,200 yards. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
But
unfortunately, the Steelers don't have a good offensive line.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately. But to Andrew's point, that Benny Snell could work out somewhere. That doesn't mean that he has any trade value, but Benny Snell could definitely work out somewhere. Can
Benny Snell play right tackle?
Well, he's not going to play right tackle, not for the Steelers, but he could work out in another place. He could easily be a guy that gets picked up off waivers, signs to an active roster, finds his way onto the field somewhere else. Don't think it's going to be in Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
So let me ask you this. Do you expect Anthony McFarland to come in the game and just change things for the Steelers offense?
No, I don't expect anybody to change anything for the Steelers offense, but I do think that it adds an option at the slot, which is very important. And I also think that it gets Najee Harris off the field, which is also very important because Anthony McFarland could be a guy that you could use out of the backfield in a lot of different ways. He's got good hands. I just think that he's a good, solid option. Baker Mayfield, I just wanted to check the comments one more time to make sure we didn't miss anything before we go. Andrew, shout out because that was an awesome conversation. I'm glad you got in on it. Baker Mayfield's health is still unknown. He's got a torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, and it's fractured, I'm pretty sure. His hit when he left the field and ended his week 7 hopes was – I was in pain. I was laying there and I was just like, that he's hurting right now. Will he play? Will he not play? I don't even know if it makes a difference at this point because the Browns seem to win when he's off the field. Shout out Dearness Johnson and an absolutely awful Denver Broncos team. Thank you very much for that. But if he does play, he's still Baker Mayfield. The Browns might not be winning with them right now. It might be because of his hurt shoulder, but he's still Baker Mayfield. This is still the Browns-Steelers rivalry. It changes everything, and he is an emotional guy, which changes even more. Do you expect Baker to play, and should the Browns want him to play?
Man, those are 2 different questions, right?
Yeah.
Baker's going to do everything in his power to play. Even on that short week after losing to the Cardinals, playing on Thursday Night Football, he was trying to practice, and the Browns were like, nah, man, you need to sit this one out. So he has had a little bit of a extra rest. But, dude, I really think if the Browns are going to be smart and just, trying to focus forward on a potential postseason run, you can't play Baker, especially after he re-aggravated that same shoulder injury that, he had gotten touched up and worked on a little bit. I don't think he played, but here's the thing, man. I think they play better without him. I really think at least a small sample size that we've seen. Bro, Case Keenum came in and just looked great. Great.
I agree. But you also had Dearness Johnson run for 1,000,000 yards. The offensive line was phenomenal, and the defense played well. And on top of that, Denver Broncos looked terrible.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, before the Cardinals shut them down, they were the league's number 1 rushing attack, right? So the Cardinals limited them to 73 yards. Their next lowest total before that was 153. Literally 50% of their lowest season rushing total, they had both their tackles were out. The Cardinals' run defense wasn't even that good. They still somehow limited them. They go from that to the short week. And I guess another good defensive front, too, because, like, we were talking about the Broncos' front seven being very, very good.
Yeah, but banged up. But very banged up.
True. But you know what? Everybody is. Bro,
True.
Week 7 of the NFL season, everybody's banged up. There's not a single team out there that isn't dealing with injuries right now.
True. At the same time, I agree. Now, do they want to play him? Will he play?
Will he play? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's Tuesday. We still got a long way to go. We have another All Steelers Talk episode coming up. And then you obviously got Fridays and Derek Kidd. And I feel like by then we should really have a good idea of like what's going to happen with that. But just like early in the week, nah, man. Like I don't. If I'm the Browns, I'm trying to think long term here. Obviously, you'd love to get a win against the Steelers, improve your record, and kind of keep yourself in the hunt with Cincinnati, which feels really weird to say at this point in the season.
It feels awesome to say. Let's be honest. I hate that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not leading the AFC North right now, as do you, as does everyone else. But if anybody else is going to do it, I'm actually really excited that it's Joey B and the boys over there in Cincinnati. It's just cool, for us, you know what I mean? Like, it was so easy to not hate the Bengals growing up because Carson Palmer might have been good and they put on some runs, blah, blah, blah. But you always knew that they were the Bengals. You were like, whatever. We got to play them in the playoffs. It is what it is. We're going to beat them. It's no big deal. It's always just been the Bengals. So I don't really have that. Like the Cleveland Browns, it sucked. I went to the game, to the Cleveland game, and against the Broncos. I rooted for the Broncos, just so everybody knows my dad's a Broncos fan. And it sucked that all the Browns fans were super nice. It was bugging me. I was like, dude, I want to hate you. I want to hate you so bad. Baltimore, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. But the Bengals leading it, that's all right. Baker Mayfield playing. Do I expect him to? No. No, I do not. Should he? Yes. Baker Mayfield against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the biggest difference here, is as an animal. He's a different animal than Case Keenum. Case Keenum, as much as I respect him and I respect what he did, although I think a lot of that was the Broncos' inability to just get anything going whatsoever. I mean, you got to think they almost lost that game. It felt like a blowout the whole time, but they almost lost that game. Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think is it, even though he's got ripped up quads or something. I don't think Vic Fangio's got a hold of that team. I just think the Broncos are a mess right now. That's tough to say, the Cleveland Browns, they had a great game against a bad team because that's pretty much what happened. I think Case Keenum comes in here and it's first off, I get it's First Energy Stadium. It's on the road, but this is still TJ Watt. This is still Alex Highsmith. This is still Melvin Ingram and Cam Hayward. Minka Fitzpatrick is due for an interception at some point this season. That's a defense that's going to take advantage of a backup quarterback no matter what. Especially if they're able to shut down Nick Chubb. Yep, Baker Mayfield in there, even if I agree with you that he's playing worse or he makes the Browns worse, but I think it's just because of the shoulder injury. It's just that emotion, man. You can't take Nick Chubb out of the game and Baker Mayfield out of the game. You could easily take Nick Chubb out of the game and Case Keenum out of the game. That's pretty simple to do.
But here's the thing. I sometimes I really wonder if it even matters who plays quarterback for them. Just because everything they do, everything they do.
I agree.
They run the football so well. It's okay, you're really banking on Baker to not turn the ball over. And there's been times throughout the year where he's turned the ball over whenever like he just shouldn't have. And I feel like Case Keenum might be just a little bit better in that department. I feel like Case Keenum does a bit of a better job giving the ball to Odell. Whenever Odell's trying to
falling all over the place, can't catch anything anymore.
Yeah.
But I do agree with that. I think Case Keenum's definitely a better clock management quarterback, which is maybe what they need right now. I just think that if the Steelers offense is only getting better, and maybe this is another breakout game for another Steelers offensive lineman or two, I don't know. You want a guy in there that if you need to do more than just clock manage, he's able to do that. I don't think Case Keenum's that guy. I think that's why he's never been that guy. You know what I mean? He's a winner. Don't get me wrong. He's, in my opinion, I think that he's right there with like Nick Foles as like one of the best backups that we've seen in a long time. I just don't think in this game with this much riding on the line, you want a backup quarterback in there, even if your quarterback's hurt. And I agree with every single thing you said, every single thing. So I don't know. I think that's definitely something to monitor. Anthony McFarland, something you got to watch out for. Baker Mayfield's status, we will definitely get an update on moving forward. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. We're your favorite podcast host, Noah Strackbein, Donnie Droon. Follow us on Twitter at Noah Strack, at Donnie Droon, and we will see you on Thursday.